Sorry for not making any rants in a while. I was busy with other stuff. Anyways, enjoy. Not allowed? Oh my god. This episode from the Loud House sucks. Here are the reasons why this episode sucks in my opinion. The episode starts when Lincoln and Clyde are in the attic, trying to find Lincoln's baby book, because his class is requiring the students to do a report about their birth story, and Lincoln is going to do his the next day. After some digging up, Lincoln finds his baby book, but to his discovery, the page detailing his birth story is blank. Lincoln asks his parents if they know the story, but they both exchange inaccurate information. Thinking his parents are hiding the truth about his birth story, Lincoln and Clyde decide to do some investigating to find the truth. First, Lincoln asks Lori if she knows his birth story, and Lori says that while Pop was watching the girls, a scientist came in, holding the infant Lincoln. Lincoln and Clyde admit that it doesn't make much sense, but Lincoln theorizes that he wasn't born, he was made. Digging through his DVD collection, he compares himself to a movie character that was built by a scientist. Despite not having any characteristics of the character, Lincoln and Clyde decide to do a field test. First, Lincoln tries to see if he has super strength by trying to support a ton of items, but to no avail. Second, Lincoln tries to see if he has super speed, but as he runs, it turns out he's slower than the max speed of Scoot's scooter. Second, Lincoln and Clyde ask Leanie if she knows his birth story, and Leanie, claiming she knows it, says that Lincoln was carried in by an eagle. Lincoln realizes that he could be like a character on one of his DVDs that's half human, half eagle. Thinking he doesn't have the characteristics of an eagle, Lincoln and Clyde propose another field test. First, Lincoln tries to see if he can fly, but falls immediately after jumping. Second, Clyde tries to feed Lincoln worms, but upon eating a worm, Lincoln gets nauseous, and vomits non-stop. Third, Lincoln and Clyde ask Luna, and says that while Mom and Dad were bringing the infant Lincoln into the house, a bunch of men in black surrounded the house. Clyde thinks that Lincoln could be an alien due to one of his DVDs, and once again, propose another field test. Lincoln tries to see if he has alien powers by trying to open the bathroom door telekinetically, but as he tries, Lana opens it at that exact moment. When Clyde says that aliens are able to regenerate chopped off limbs, Lincoln, not wanting to endure that, immediately declares that he's not an alien. Fourth, Lincoln and Clyde ask Luan, and Luan states that they were expecting another girl. When Lincoln questions why they think they would have had another girl, Luan states that his room was already decorated like a girl's room, and thought they had brought home the wrong baby. Lincoln realizes that just like a character on one of his DVDs, he might have been switched with another family's baby, and proceed to do some research. After going through all of the Royalwood's birth records, Lincoln and Clyde proceed to investigate on different families to see which one has the characteristics of a Loud. After turning down a family where the members are tall, a family with rather large noses, and a family with curly red hair, Lincoln and Clyde arrive to a house where the parents have white hair. If that wasn't surprising, they discover that their daughter has hair shaped exactly like Lori's, plays guitar like Luna, and likes spicy subs, just like Lynn. With this information, Lincoln comes to the conclusion that those are his real parents, but decides to have a chat with his quote-unquote parents. Back at the Loud house, Lincoln confronts Rita and Lynn Sr., saying that a family with white hair has a daughter that has the characteristics of a Loud, and chews them out by saying that they knew they were going to get another girl, so they paid a doctor to switch babies with another family, so they can get a boy. However, Rita and Lynn Sr. laugh at that concept, because according to them, it's false. Rita and Lynn Sr. decide to tell Lincoln his real birth story. After Rita's water broke, they called Pop to keep an eye on Lincoln's older sisters, while Lynn Sr. drove Rita to the hospital in Vanzilla. Unsurprisingly, the van ended up breaking down on the side of the road. As Lynn Sr. tried to signal someone for help, a black limousine pulled up. Much to Lynn Sr.'s amazement, The president and the first lady were in the limousine. After explaining their predicament to them, they agreed to drive Rita and Lynn Sr. to the hospital. However, during the course of the ride, it became apparent that they wouldn't make it to the hospital in time for Rita to give birth to Lincoln. The president initially stepped up to the task of delivering Lincoln, but he, along with Lynn Sr., passed out in the process, so the First Lady stepped up, and successfully delivered Lincoln. After explaining the story, Rita and Lynn Sr. apologized for not telling their son the story of his birth sooner, because the president was heading to a top-secret safe house in Royal Woods that day, and Rita and Lynn Sr. were forced to sign an agreement to never speak of the story to anyone. Lincoln reminds them of the inaccurate information his sisters provided, such as his room looking like a girl's room, the men in black, the scientist, and the eagle, but his parents managed to clear it up by saying that Lincoln's room looked like a girl's room because they were just using leftover items owned by their first 5 kids. The men in black were Secret Service agents. The scientist was actually the First Lady dressed in equipment from the limo's first aid kit, and the eagle that Leanie described was actually a blanket with the presidential seal on it, given to them by the president and First Lady. Excited about knowing the whole story behind his birth, Clyde points out that this will make a very exciting presentation for Lincoln in class. However, Rita reminds the boys that they can't tell anyone about the story, due to their agreement to keep it confidential. As Lincoln and Clyde read comics in the former's room, happy that they now know the whole story, Clyde is still perplexed as to why Lincoln has white hair. When Lincoln realizes that he could be just like a character on one of his Divide-s, he and Clyde prepare to do another field test. And that's how the episode is. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's a waste of time. I don't know who likes or hates this episode, so I'm gonna leave it be. So screw Not Allowed. And screw Fool Me Twice. Washed Up is 10 million times better than Not Allowed. End of rant.